Hi there, welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. In today's show, a look at developments to lure tourists who travel for food, plus incorporating fish in our diet for balanced nutrition and health. Later, see how automated technologies can change how we grow some of what we eat. Sit back and relax for these and more to come as we turn the pages of Jamaica Magazine.
Let's get a little breeze on this land. All right. Now let's get some bounce in the rhythm. All right. Let's get some fire on our hearts. Now that is what we call all right. Run, come, get some Jamaica.
Destination Jamaica is being diversified as government moves ahead with work to establish the island as a place for food-loving tourists. Gastronomy is now a key pillar in the Tourism Ministry's strategy to grow visitor arrivals and earnings from the industry. More on that in this feature.
Imagine a tour on which you'll eat till you're full, dining against the backdrop of the blue hues of the mountains, sipping authentic Blue Mountain coffee. Sounds appealing? Then you must, if only once, venture on the Jamaica Blue Mountain Culinary Trail. The Ministry of Tourism has embarked on a gastronomic mission to promote Jamaica as a culinary destination. This is the main aim of the Gastronomy Network, one of 5 networks established recently by the ministry. The first product of the Gastronomy Network was the implementation of the Jamaica Blue Mountain Culinary Trail. This is a tour of eateries and attractions nestled within the UNESCO-designated World Heritage Site of Jamaica's Blue Mountains. Whether you take the Eastern or Western Trail, you'll have access to at least 15 participating venues.
Gastronomy, or food tourism, as people commonly refer to it across the world, represents 88% of the reason that people travel. Therefore, will be responsive to the palates of the world. What we have to do is to prepare it a little differently, present it a little more appealing, and to move it from basic street food to the highest level of gourmet.
Wet the palate with hors d'oeuvres, dip into Strawberry Hill Restaurant's coffee ice cream, or drink coffee at a more than a century-old farm.
From Colombia, we also say Colombia's coffee is really good and we're really proud about it. So it was really interesting to hear the Jamaican perspective of their own coffee. The coffee was delicious and it's really amazing to be able to have a cup of coffee, look into the mountains and just enjoy. So the coffee was definitely the highlight for me today.
Jamaicans talk about how great our coffee is, but I don't think we have any idea why. And that's what I learned today. It was phenomenal.
Vegetarians, meat lovers, those into traditional cuisine, or Jamaican fusion meals, there's a bite for every appetite. The Jamaica Blue Mountain Culinary Trail provides a getaway for nature buffs and foodies, wrapped up in one journey. The tour stops at about 4 restaurants, each boasting a historic or cultural backdrop. After dining, there lies an opportunity to walk off the food with their Kampong Maroon drummers.
Our aim is to preserve the integrity and uniqueness of the region. The beauty, diversity, and sheer magnificence of the region is unparalleled.
The Ministry of Tourism has identified gastronomy tourism as a medium for diversifying Destination Jamaica. Through the Tourism Linkages Network, the Gastronomy Network is offering locals and visitors a tasty treat of the Jamaica Blue Mountains. To plan your own food trail inside the mountains, contact the Gastronomy Network. They're located at the Jamaica Tourism Center, 64 Knutsford Boulevard, New Kingston, or call them at 920-4926-30.
Prevent overfishing. Give our marine resources room to replenish. Protect valuable marine species from extinction. Fish sanctuaries have been created to do just that. These designated protected areas for fish and other marine life help to breed, grow, and maintain a healthy population. No one is allowed in a fish sanctuary. It is illegal. Offenders will be arrested and their fishing equipment and catch confiscated. Allowing our marine and seafood population to grow means more catch later and food security for all.
Fish is a healthy source for protein, vitamins, and minerals the body needs for healthy growth and development. We'll now take a closer look at some of these and other reasons we should try to make fish a part of our diet.
We all love our protein, chicken, beef, pork, but how often do we eat fish? Is it only at Easter time or when you're at the beach? Incorporating more fish into your diet can be very beneficial to your health. Compared to red meats and poultry, fish has far less calories and cholesterol.
It's the saturated fats and the trans fats that our bodies use to make cholesterol. And fish and seafood have very little saturated fat and trans fat. So in truth and in fact, that makes it a very healthy source of protein.
Fish also has iron, which is important for good reasoning and memory, iodine, which can prevent mental problems in children, and selenium, vitamins, and carotenoids, which are antioxidants. Who knew that we could get so many nutrients from fish? And that's not all. Incorporating fish into our diet can even reduce the chances of developing certain diseases.
Studies have in fact shown that people who have a higher intake of fish compared to other meat sources have less heart disease, they suffer from fewer mood disorders, and they have less cognitive decline with age, so less dementia.
This is due to omega-3 fatty acids, a nutrient that is only found in a few other food sources, such as walnuts and flax seeds. But oily fish, such as sardines, tuna, mackerel, salmon, and trout, are excellent sources of omega-3s and are readily available at your convenience in supermarkets. So we want to add fish into our diet. In what ways can we do this?
So escovitch fish is one of our favorites. Now the onions and the carrots and the vinegar and the pimento, that's all fine. But we don't want to do a lot of deep frying. Deep frying adds calories. Nothing like a nice steamed fish, a nice roast fish. And when you roast your fish, you can stuff it with wonderful vegetables like callaloo and so on. So we have to find other ways. Many of us have broilers as a part of our stove and we've never utilized it. We don't know how it's used. And that gives us, I think, the closest taste to fried without adding a lot of oil.
So we've got different styles of cooking the fish, but what about flavor? Jamaicans love adding salt, but fish is already salty. Wouldn't that be too much sodium?
If we utilize other things like lime and lemon juice and or fresh seasonings or scotch bonnet pepper or onions or scallion, we can make our fish flavorful without adding a lot of extra sodium.
That sounds really tasty, but watch out for bones. Make sure to debone fish before giving your children. Even if the fish is bought deboned, check for fine bones with your fingers. If you're not careful, you could end up with a medical emergency. The recommended serving size per week is only 8 to 9 ounces of fish, or 2 to 3 servings per week. With an array of health benefits and a variety of ways to cook it, don't miss out on this lifestyle choice. Make a positive impact on your health by adding more fish to your diet.
Each time you're not paying full attention to the road environment, the greater your chances of getting in a crash like that. Plan routes to avoid focusing on GPS systems. Prevent children from roaming in motor vehicles. Turn down the volume of car stereo systems. Pull off the roadway if you have to use mobile devices. Do not read, watch television, or eat while driving. Avoid multitasking and keep conversations with other passengers to a minimum. Whether you walk, ride, or drive, avoid potentially fatal distractions.
Farming is often considered one of the toughest jobs. But as we advance, technology has and continues to change perceptions about this profession. Here now is an amazing example of the new reality for agriculture: automated greenhouse farming.
Technology has afforded us the opportunity of being in control without having direct physical contact with objects or certain mechanics, thus creating an ease and relaxed way of doing things. Now, this remote operating technology has been added to farming at the local level. In a technology-driven world, persons are finding more innovative ways to improve and simplify how we do things, as well as creating added benefits and increased profits for businesses. Such was the intention of engineering student at the University of the West Indies, UN Pitta, when he designed and created this fully automated hydroponic greenhouse system. Renewable energy driven, the system is programmed to be operated by the use of a smartphone or the internet, facilitating a more efficient and effective approach to farming.
You don't have to be at the plants every day, right? At the greenhouse every day, because you have access to all information that you normally would go there to check for.
Information such as the nutrient levels, water, temperature, and humidity, which in a typical greenhouse setting would require manual observation and control. But Pitta's automated system controls all that activity, allowing farmers to maintain quality crops from just about anywhere in the world.
We control the nutrient concentration, such as your N, your nitrate, the phosphate, and your potash, as well as pH and dissolved oxygen. We have a set limit that those parameters are supposed to be at. So once it exceeds those parameters that we set, you will automatically updated by your cell phone to let you know that something is wrong in your greenhouse, our nutrient is off. We can actually monitor this system remotely via cell phone or over the internet.
The intelligent controlling is performed by what's called a programmable logic controller, PLC, that's microcontroller based. The PLC is used to activate the input and output processes of the greenhouse hydroponic system. Head of UA's Engineering Department and UN Supervisor Dr. Paul Aking explains.
Everything that feeds the nutrient and the sensors and the valves and everything that requires some on-off or some amount of control, all of that is computerized, and it goes into the computer and it stores as special signals. And the commands are stored as special signals. What we do now, we send those signals via the internet, via the SMS, via something like your texting, and then we can see what it is, and we can send both ways. It's bidirectional.
The application won first place for the open category in the 2013 Minister's Innovation Award developed by the Science and Technology Ministry.
It's an ICT control, meaning that the Internet Protocol login, monitoring and control system of an agricultural process that everyone knows about. No one was aware that you could control these things so remotely, and it really blew the judges away.
Judges were also impressed by the system's ability to efficiently produce its own supply of energy while providing a sustainable means for food security and food production.
This project is about growing plants in a solution environment. It's about controlling such growth and ensuring that you can do that control remotely, or you control and monitor remotely.
Greenhouse farming is known for generating very high crop yield and high quality produce when compared to open-air farming. Interests have already been pouring in from both the private and public sector, including the Ministry of Agriculture, about the microcontroller-based automated hydroponic greenhouse system. And the team intends to make this a true demonstration that the technology works.
The next stage is we're going to go to a functional, fully demonstratable, functional prototype that anyone in the country can come and look at. You will see the physical plants growing. You'll get a measure of the yield of the plants. We want to take it as far as it can go. So we want to demonstrate that the technology works.
Ultimately, this automated system is intended to replace the hydroponic technology being used today and make some farming methods less labor-intensive.
We want to engage in projects that are useful, that are nation-building, that are solving problems in the nation, not just some on-the-shelf stuff. So hydroponic and sustainable agriculture is a useful, and we add the electronics and the engineering to it, modernize it, and here we have a product.
This level of commitment to nation building justifies the government's unending drive to promote technology as a vehicle to propel new businesses and to improve existing ones.
Did you know regular physical activity controls your weight, reduces your risk of cardiovascular diseases, reduces your risk for type 2 diabetes and metabolic syndrome, reduces your risk of some cancers, strengthens your bones and muscles, and increases your chance of living longer? Get active, get fit, stay healthy.
We must exercise. We must seek to eat the right portions of the food groups that these studies have shown are important to a healthy body. And healthcare in Jamaica, I think, needs to shift somewhat away from the challenges of curing ailments to the challenge of preventing.
And as Jamaica moves to balance its disease prevention interventions with the curative aspects of healthcare, Jamaicans must explore the role that the foods we eat can play. Nutrition does play a role, both as a risk factor and as a tool for managing diseases such as cancer.
Essentially, cancer occurs whenever one of the cells in the body decides that it's going to misbehave and not listen to any instructions at all. And so it just grows and grows and grows and doesn't listen to the regular body signals to say, this is how you should behave. So it's really a misbehaving cell which proliferates and grows, and it then becomes a misbehaving tissue.
And what you eat or not can make a difference in how your body's cells behave.
The fundamental control systems in your body are all chemicals, and therefore the chemicals that you put in your body comes from food. So if there is any mismatch or which can occur, one can end up with having what we call a risk of cancer.
Doctors say that a typical diet for most Jamaicans, with its huge servings of starchy foods like rice, flour, yam and banana, with only small amounts of vegetables, does not provide the healthy benefits that can come through a diet. Instead, doctors suggest eating more fruits and vegetables rich in fiber and antioxidants, and fresh foods high in calcium and vitamin D. Fat-related chemicals are among those that tend to promote cancer, so diets that are high in fat create more of a predisposition to the disease. Alcohol can also have a negative impact.
We say you should not smoke. We also say that you should not consume alcohol if at all possible. The equivalent of an ounce a day is perhaps the limit that we'd allow.
Of course, there are other things not in our foods, found in our environment, which can cause you to get cancers, including toxins such as asbestos. But our focus here is on the role of what we consume, particularly processed foods, which doctors agree should only be eaten in minimal amounts. Some processed meats, for instance, have been linked to things like the propensity to develop colon cancer. To lower the risks, nutritionists recommend fresh meats that are broiled, baked, or steamed to get rid of the excess fat. Nutrition is seen not only as a means of prevention, but also part of the treatment for diseases such as cancer. Patients with cancer are often given specific nutrition interventions as part of their treatment regimen.
So apart from the specific surgical procedure you may have, or the radiological procedure that you may have, radiotherapy, or even the chemotherapy that you may have, nutrition also plays a role in you surviving your therapy.
In striving for a healthy lifestyle, which includes eating well, it's important to maintain physical and mental fitness. Fit individuals engaging in physical exercise at least 3 times per week are more likely not to have any of the chronic, non-communicable diseases such as cancer.
You should engage in at least 3 bouts of physical activity, at least 30 minutes for the day, moderate walking at minimum or the equivalent. You should have to be as stress-free as possible, and you should aim to achieve your ideal body weight. So those factors would generally lead you to what we consider to be a healthy lifestyle, which will tend to protect you not only from cancers, but also other cardiovascular diseases like diabetes and hypertension.
Disease prevention should be our priority. So let's all make our food our medicine and our medicine our food. It's everybody's business.
Over the years, the prevalence of smoking among our youth from as early as age 13 has been steadily spiraling upward. The most recent Global Tobacco Youth Survey showed that smokers in the age group 13 to 15 increased from 15% to nearly 25% over a 9-year period. This trend is of concern, considering the ill effects of smoking.
Cigarette smoking is associated with nearly every cancer you can imagine. Cancer of the tongue, cancer of the breast, cancer of the cervix, cancer of the pharynx, cancer of the stomach, just to name a few.
There are over 4,000 chemicals in cigarettes that are harmful to the human body.
For example, chemicals that are found in embalming fluid, what is used to preserve dead bodies, chemicals which are found in rat poison, insecticide, chemicals that are found in battery. All of these chemicals are found in cigarette.
Among young people, the short-term health consequences of smoking include respiratory and non-respiratory effects, addiction to nicotine, and the associated risk of other substance abuse. Long-term health consequences of youth smoking are reinforced by the fact that most young people who smoke regularly continue to smoke throughout their adult years. Tobacco can affect youth activities and athletic performance as it narrows blood vessels and puts a strain on the heart.
In addition to traditional cigarette smoking, there have been some rising new trends among our youth.
We have observed a lot of parties, what they call the hookah parties. So the hookahs now comes in different flavors. So there's this myth about there that the hookah pipe is much safer than the smoking cigarette because the water inside of it actually filters out the smoke. But the research it actually does show that the hookahs still can cause cancer, TB, or even an STI, because most persons, when they share the tip of they don't change it. So if a person has one STI, actually can pass to the other person.
Then there are e-cigarettes.
The e-cigarettes don't have tobacco per se, but they have nicotine, they have other chemicals in it, and many of them come flavored. They are glamorized, right, because many of them are marketed by celebrities, and they are touted as being relatively safe. But not because they don't have tobacco and many of the other chemicals that are seen in cigarettes, they are not necessarily safe. They do have other chemicals. And one chemical that is seen in some of the flavorings that are used in e-cigarettes is called diacetyl. Diacetyl is a chemical that was used to make the buttery flavor that was used to give microwave popcorn that taste. It was then banned because the factory workers in the factories making the microwave popcorn got ill.
Another popular smoking option among teenagers is marijuana. But does marijuana or ganja smoking pose any risk to the teenage smoker?
The research does show that there's a big difference between a teenager smoking and an adult smoking. And the simple fact is this, is that your brain is not fully developed until age 20 to 23. So there's a part of the brain that controls the executive function of the body, weighing consequence, all of these different things. So when you start using drugs at an early age, it actually impacts that part of the brain. So that's why you do have some of the students, if you realize they're not doing well in class, right? It's like they get very upset or angry easily. All the research shows that once you start smoking from an early age, the long-term consequences are more severe. For example, in the 30s, if you start smoking as a teenager, later on in life, when it lowers the IQ level.
The Jamaica Cancer Society cites peer pressure, stressful relationships, and unresolved challenges at home as the three main reasons for teenage smoking.
Unfortunately, many young persons are under the mistaken impression that cigarettes eliminate stress. This is certainly not so. We therefore encourage students to seek help from their parents and teachers to resolve any issues that they may be facing. Do not turn to smoking for answers.
To help teenagers quit smoking, there is the Fresh Start Smoking Cessation Program, offered by the Jamaica Cancer Society in association with the American Cancer Society.
This is a comprehensive 4-session group-based course that covers issues such as nicotine addiction, managing withdrawal symptoms, weight control, stress management, recognizing and planning for possible obstacles to quitting, staying tobacco-free, and enjoying being a non-smoker.
There's also an annual anti-tobacco youth forum held in February to educate high school students about the dangers of smoking.
Many young people feel that lung cancer in particular is a disease of the elderly and that they have years ahead of them before the dangers of smoking will affect them. So it is our responsibility to educate and to be able to tell our younger folk, don't start if you haven't started, and to stop if you actually have, because the dangers of cigarette smoking actually start from day one, from that first cigarette.
For more information on programs to help teens quit smoking, contact the Jamaica Cancer Society at 927-4265 or visit their website at jamaicacancersociety.org. You may also call the National Council on Drug Abuse at 926-9002-4 or visit their website at ncda.org.jm.
And that brings us to the end of today's edition of Jamaica Magazine. Do join us again tomorrow and we'll do this all over again. Until then, you can click online at jis.gov.jm and visit our YouTube channel, where you can get the latest government information. Also follow us on Twitter and Facebook and download our app from the Google Play Store to stay informed. On behalf of all of us here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson, wishing you all the best. Till next time, do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.